Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dork Side. I'm the Dork in the Road. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 most popular dual sports, at least according to kellybluebook.com. I'm the Dork in the Road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, so please consider subscribing. So I was perusing Kelly Blue Book's site looking up some motorcycle values because, like many of you, I'm constantly on the hunt and thinking about what my next bike's going to be, and I stumbled across an article that I'd never really seen before. Well, Kelly Blue Book has compiled their top 10 most searched for dual sport motorcycles, and the list I found very interesting, and so I thought I would turn it into a video and share it with you guys, and we could talk about the bikes on the list and if there's any surprises there or anything that we weren't expecting to see. A couple caveats. One, just keep in mind this data is actually from 2020. Although looking at it, I don't think the list would be much different today, except for maybe we would have some of the newer dual sports that just came out, like the CRF300L or the KLX250. But other than that, I think the list is pretty solid, pretty up to date even for right now in 2021. The slideshow also included recommended list prices, their recommended values for recent models, so 2018 and newer models. So I'll just throw that in so you have a price range of what about these bikes might cost you if you were looking to pick one up. We have 10 bikes to get through, so I'm not going to talk your ear off here in the introduction. Let's just jump right into number 10, which is the Kawasaki KLX250. The KLX250 got an upgrade to fuel injection in 2018, which made it even more desirable than the old classic model. It's generally considered one of the most capable 250 level dual sports because it has that adjustable suspension that other 250cc dual sports don't have, like the CRF250L, XT250, those bikes. So the KLX250 is no longer made. They discontinued it and it's since been replaced with the 300, but the KLX300 is a great bike. I did a test ride, which I'll link for you. Definitely worth considering, and my guess is it'll be in the top 10 very soon. Typical listing price for a KLX250 according to their website is $3,900 to $4,400. The number 9 most popular dual sport is the Yamaha TW200. As you know, this is one of my favorite dual sports. I happen to think it's one of the most charming and beginner-friendly dual sports on the market. It's basically been unchanged for the last 30 years, and its low seat height and easy power delivery make it very easy for a brand new rider to jump on and feel confident on. It has those massive ATV-style tires that give you a lot of traction, and for those reasons, it's a very beginner-friendly bike and also a very unique dual sport. So cool to see it on this list, but not surprising. Typical listing price for the TW200, according to them, is $3,600 to $4,000. I see them for more than that around here, though. You got to keep in mind that around here in the Pacific Northwest, there's the P&W Dual Sport Premium, so everything goes for a little bit higher than it sells in other parts of the country. Number 8, another great dual sport, is the Yamaha WR250R. The 250R is generally considered the most capable Japanese 250cc dual sport. It has a more powerful engine than some of its competitors, has a better suspension, and was accordingly more expensive. So it is the most expensive 250cc bike on this list, but definitely one worth considering. Sadly, you can't buy new WR250Rs anymore. They discontinued them. There's been whispers and rumors of a WR300R, but so far nothing's been announced, so the only way to get a 250R is to pick one up used, and it's a great bike. I would highly recommend. My buddy Duck Fan rides one. Typical listing price for the WR, $4,900 to $5,800. So like I said, a little bit more expensive than these other bikes. Number 7 most popular dual sport motorcycle is the Honda XR650L. This is a bike that also hasn't been changed in decades, and is very popular with people that want to be able to have the capability of an off-road motorcycle, a big tall dirt bike, but also a little bit more engine power so that you can cruise more comfortably at highway or freeway speeds than you can on a 250 or 400cc dual sport. The XR is a durable, reliable, capable bike that people have put millions of miles on, so definitely worth considering if you're in the market for a dual sport, and not surprising at all to find it in the list of top 10 most popular dual sports. Typical listing price for the XR is $5,600 to $5,900. Number 6 most popular dual sport motorcycle is the Suzuki DR650S. Now, the 650S has a lot in common with everything I just said about the XR650L. It's going to have a little bit more power for your highway, freeway speeds, but still be capable off-road. It's a great bike for somebody that wants to do it all, that wants to ride out a long way on the highway, but still be able to tear it up the trails and down abandoned roads to find that perfect campsite deep in the woods. It's also bulletproof reliable. It's also been around for a long time. It's a little bit less expensive than the XR650L. You can pick up a DR650 for around $5,000 to $5,700. and it's definitely a bike worth considering. Great, again, bulletproof, reliable, and also largely unchanged for decades. There's a lot of that on this list you're going to find. Number 5 most popular dual sport is the Yamaha XT250. I think the Yamaha XT250 is maybe one of the best, if not the best, bikes for new riders, completely new motorcycle riders, and also new dual sport riders, because it has a very low seat height, comes with fuel injection, has a decent suspension. It's a pretty modern bike as these dual sports go, as these Japanese dual sports go, especially if you compare it to like the TW200 or the XR650L. They can be picked up inexpensively, and they're unintimidating for a new rider. So the XT250 definitely has a place in this list. Makes a lot of sense, especially for your newer rider or your rider who's less comfortable with a taller bike. Typical listing price for a Yamaha XT250 is $3,900 to $4,600. Number 4, and the first big surprise of the list. Nothing on this list has really made me go, until this moment. But number 4 is the Suzuki DRZ400SM, the Supermoto. The DRZ400SM has smaller wheels, it has street tires, it has upgraded brakes and different gearing than the DRZ400S, which is the off-road model. So I'm just surprised to see it on this list, because most people don't think of it as a dual sport, although it is a dual sport bike, but it's generally equipped for street hooliganing, for riding on the road. It's the kind of bike that if you want to do stunting and jump off curbs and stuff like that in the city, it's very popular for that. But people do throw dirt tires on them and have a heck of a time tearing up the back roads, so they're very capable bikes. Interesting to see it on this list, but that's number 4, the Suzuki DRZ400SM. According to KBB.com, you can pick up one of these bad boys for anywhere from $5,600 to $6,200, a recent model. And number 3, and this one is not a surprise, unlike the last entry on the list, but is the Suzuki DRZ400S. This is the off-road version of the Suzuki DRZ400SM. It's got the bigger 21-inch front wheel, comes with knobbier tires, and is generally better set up and better equipped for true off-road dual sporting. This is a bike that was first introduced in 2000, and like some of the other bikes on this list, has not been changed in decades. It's functionally exactly the same as a 2000 model. I own a 2020. It's a bike that I love a lot. It's got enough power to get you out there on the highway, even do some freeway if you want it to, but it's very capable and fun to ride off-road. One of the most fun motorcycles I've ever ridden, and I have a whole playlist of DRZ400 videos if you're interested, which I will link for you. But no surprise to see what is one of the most popular dual sport motorcycles of all time, the bike that many people think of when they think dual sport on this list, and that's the Suzuki DRZ400S. Typical listing price for the DRZ400S, according to KBB.com, is $5,100 to $5,600. That's for a used one. New one's going to run you $6,900. What's really interesting to me is that, split into 2 separate entries, the 400S and the 400SM managed to take number 4 and number 3 on this list. So if you combined them, would they be number 1? That's my guess. But since they're split, that's not the case, because they're technically 2 separate models. The number 2 most popular dual sport, no surprise if you're paying attention, this is probably a bike that you've wondered, where is it on the list to this point? It's the Honda CRF 250L. I'm not surprised to find the 250L near the top of this list at all. It's the most popular 250cc dual sport bike at KBB.com for a good reason. It's an easy ride, unintimidating, bulletproof, reliable, fuel-injected dual sport motorcycle. It's the bike that I started on, my very first dual sport, my very first off-road riding, my very first trail ride. Lots of firsts on my CRF 250L. I'm really glad it was the bike that I started with, and I love that thing, and I'm sad that it's no longer in my garage. If you want to know more about the 250L, I've got a whole playlist of videos about it, which I will link for you right up here. Typical listing price for the 250L, $4,300 to $5,300. And finally, the number 1 most popular dual sport motorcycle, according to KellyBlueBook.com, and it should be no surprise to anyone that spends any time in the dual sport world, it is the venerable, classic, the battleship, the dinosaur itself, the Kawasaki KLR 650, one of the most popular thumpers of all time. It's the bike that everybody seems to know somebody who owned, or that they owned one themselves. These bikes have been around for a long time. Hundreds of thousands of owners have put millions of adventure miles on these bikes. They're sort of good at everything and not great at anything. They're unkillable, bulletproof, reliable, they last forever, and the KLR is a classic dual sport, do anything motorcycle, and it's not at all surprising to find it at the top of the list of most popular dual sport motorcycles of all time. What's even more surprising is that the KLR was discontinued in 2018, and still here it is at the top of this list. Fortunately, the newly redesigned KLR is coming out later this year with fuel injection and a few other upgrades, so my guess is we'll continue to find the KLR atop the list of most popular dual sport bikes for years to come. Typical listing price for a used KLR is $4,400 to $5,300 according to Kelley Blue Book. The biggest surprise on this list, it's all Japanese bikes. Not a single KTM, Beta, or Husky. No European bikes, just Japanese dual sports. I'm surprised there wasn't a single one that crept in there. Now, you guys know that I'm always recommending Japanese bikes. I'm a big Japanese bike fanboy. If I built my own list of top 10 dual sport motorcycles, I'm not sure it would be very different than this, because mine would be all Japanese bikes too, but I'm really surprised when you're measuring in terms of just pure numbers and searches and web traffic to find how much more popular the Japanese bikes are than some of the other dual sport offerings that are out there. What did you guys think? What surprised you about the list? What bike do you feel like is missing from the list? And what bikes do you think would be on the list if it were updated for 2021? Leave that in the comments. Well, that's it for the top 10 most popular dual sport motorcycles, at least from last year. Thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate you. Please, if you liked the video, if you got some information out of it, please consider hitting that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't for more dual sport and adventure motorcycle content. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!